everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video, and today we are going to take a look at Catherine, Princess of Wales's makeup. If you missed the video where we went over Meghan Markle's makeup, some of the mistakes that she makes for her particular face, some things she does well, then go check it out. I will link it for you. A pretty classic look from Kate is some liner and mascara and some brown shadow. She has done warm, cool tone, neutral brown shadows. She does it in all sorts of different types of ways and amounts, but it's pretty much always brown. She rarely steps outside of that. She did do darker, like black, gray, smoky eye for the Queen's funeral, but she typically strays away from super duper dark. And she also doesn't tend to experiment too awful much with like plums or loud colors, which is to be expected. When we see her, she's usually in a professional capacity and she's getting professional photographs taken, or there are lots of press people around, so you wouldn't necessarily go and get too creative in your eye makeup choices. She also tends to not go for super bold lips very often. They're often a little bit more of a earthy tone, muted tones, or rosy tones, blushes and things like that, unless they are pinks or nudes. I actually am very similar to her with my makeup. My makeup today is a little bit more exciting, but typically I am a lot more neutral or simple in the colors that I wear. I do love experimenting and playing around with brighter like eye makeup or, you know, exciting eyeshadow patterns, but in my everyday or day-to-day, my go-to eye makeup is similar to Kate, a lot of brown colors or just simpler, less intense eye makeup looks, or just makeup in general. I really appreciate the way she does her makeup and her face makeup as well. It's very, very natural looking. Even when she wears a lot of highlighter or contour or really is doing herself up for an evening or some sort of event, it still looks so much more natural. And part of that is her placement and choosing things that work with her skin tone and with her face shape. She doesn't go outside of the parameters from what works well for her very often, and that is just being smart. It's not boring, it's not exciting, it's smart. She doesn't tend to go wild with the bronzer either. She tends to stick with more of blushy looks, which I think really suits her well. And her contour that she does do is very subtle, which is what it really should be, especially for in-person events or like what you would see in person. You don't want your contour to be noticeable. As with her clothes, she's very good at suiting her makeup to the occasion. It may be makeup artists, but we do know that she did her own wedding day makeup and that there were a lot of articles when she was kind of new to the job, if you will, that she wanted to learn to do her makeup herself for her events or her engagements. And so I definitely think that a lot of the time we are seeing Kate's makeup artistry work all on its own. I don't think she uses a makeup artist for every single event or engagement, especially not daytime things. I'm sure she does for very important events or things like the coronation, for example. I'm sure she used a makeup artist, but in general, I think she's oftentimes doing her makeup herself and she does a really great job. One of my personal beliefs when it comes to beauty is that good makeup always starts with skincare. If your skin is upset or you're not taking good care of your skin, your makeup's never going to look as good. And so it's clear with Kate that she takes a really good care of her skin. Catherine, sorry, I get in trouble in the comments when I call her Kate. One of the benefits to taking really good care of your skin is less need for product in general. You don't need a lot of like correction makeup for under eye circles or blemishes because your skin is happy and it's even in its tone. And it also looks a little bit nicer, more plump and dewy when you're taking really good care of your skin. So it doesn't need a lot of product to sort of give it that look of health and vitality. It's already there. And so she clearly takes good care of her skin because it looks flawless pretty much all of the time. And she's lucky too that she has beautiful skin in general. It's clear and relatively even toned, probably even without great skincare. You probably have pretty nice skin. one thing that I noticed when looking at pictures of her makeup is, or her face in general, is her eyebrows. Now, I'm not sure when exactly like she started doing this or if this is something she's always done, but she brushes her eyebrows up a little bit. This may be that she laminates her brows, meaning she either uses a product at home or goes to the salon to have it done, where basically a gel is applied to your eyebrows and then you brush them in the way that you want them to lay. You let it set for a while, clean it all off, and bam, your eyebrows will stay in the way that you brushed them for the most part for about 6 weeks usually. This is a really great technique to give a more youthful appearance or combat signs of aging. So as you age, as your skin elasticity reduces, and even the fat stores beneath your layers of skin in your face begin to dissipate a little bit into your like 40s and beyond, your eyebrows start to drop a little bit, not like dramatically, but they lose a little bit of the pep in their step, if you will. And the consequence of that is that then this area looks just a little bit more down, and the area between your crease and your eyeball to your actual eyebrow is lower. So the actual brow bone area where you have to apply makeup is shorter and smaller and narrower. And so when you brush your eyebrows up a little bit, and I don't mean like straight up, but up and out a little bit, it just gives a more lifted appearance and it keeps the brows from coming down and shrinking that area even more. And so it's a really great technique if you want a more youthful appearance, but also laminating your brows makes it really low maintenance. And most of us want our eyebrows to go in that pattern anyway. Even I tend to brush my brows straight out or just a little bit up and out. I don't really go like straight up because then they would look humongous on my face. But it's a nice technique, and I noticed that with her eyebrows. When you look closely, you can see that. Also notice that when she's doing a daytime engagement, she often goes for a matte or a satin lip. I think that's a really nice choice as opposed to a shiny or really glossy lip, or like I said, really, really bright colors like a bright red lip, because it allows the focus to stay on her eyes. And she doesn't have particularly big lips. She has a really rather narrow upper lip, and her lower lip is pretty average, I would say. But that's another reason why she probably chooses to not make her lipstick the center of focus of her makeup looks. This creates a great balance as well, because when you do eyes, lips, and contour or cheeks like blush and highlight and stuff, then there's just a lot going on your face, and you're bringing everything out and you're doing lots of different bright or deep tones, and it's overwhelming, and it can give you that sort of clownish look where you have lips, eyes, cheeks, it's all just so much, it looks like face paint, so it's a little overboard. This style of makeup that she chooses is just right, especially for connecting with people. Sometimes it looks like she's not really using any highlighter, but upon looking closer, she is wearing highlighter most of the time. It's a pretty standard go-to option these days with makeup. Most people are using highlighter on their faces, but she does a really great job of choosing highlight that is not super sparkly and not super wet looking. It's just right, and she uses it very sparingly. As you can see, it's not taking up all this space or coming in way down here. It's very much just on the very edges or very top points of her cheeks or cheekbones and on her nose a little bit, and it's obviously blended afterwards, which is a technique that I talked about in my recent video. I will link up here how when you blend everything after you get it all on, even if you apply kind of a lot like I showed you guys in that video, and then you buff it all out afterwards, it really creates this nice seamless look, especially for in person, where nothing looks overdone or too much, and it looks very much like you just kind of have this naturally nice looking skin with rosy cheeks, and you're kind of glowing because you've got a little bit of highlighter, but it's not discernible in specific spots. We noticed that when we looked at Meghan Markle's pictures, that you could totally see just this like C shape where she had highlighter applied. You could see it down her nose very, very clearly exactly where it was placed. And you don't really want that for these types of engagements. Not only are you supposed to be more professional, but you're supposed to be very approachable looking. You're not trying to look glam. You're not trying to do selfies and Instagram posts. So she clearly does a great job of striking that balance and achieving those more personable, natural beauty sorts of looks through her makeup. I think she may also use a creamy concealer that's dewy in its finish on areas that she would like to highlight or bring forward, because it seems like that might be a technique that she uses on the high points of her face to add a little bit of that highlighter effect, but also because she doesn't seem to wear foundation everywhere, which is a great choice. If you want to achieve a similar effect, then just get one shade or half shade lighter than your skin tone and apply it to like down the nose, maybe a tiny bit on the forehead, a tiny bit along the cheekbones if you wish, your chin if you'd like to kind of bring it forward for whatever reason. Some people also like to apply it here. It very much depends on your face shape. You can experiment a little bit to see what you like the best look. Just don't go crazy with it. And you can see that it offers a really nice sort of subtle highlight that definitely seems way more natural than even the most natural of highlighter products. Occasionally on Catherine, we will see under-blended shadow in her eye makeup. Sometimes if you're going to be seen primarily from afar, like say at Tripping the Color or the Coronation or a parade, or you're going to be walking a red carpet, you're getting photographs taken of you like at the Earthshot Prize Awards last year in Boston, you will leave your eye makeup slightly under-blended. Not completely unblended, but under-blended so that it stands out a little bit more. If you blend it in fully, it'll be too diffused from a distance especially to where it looks like you almost have nothing on your eyes at all. You're also going to be using slightly darker eye makeup in those instances, but still remember to keep it in the shape and pattern that works best for your eye shape in general, in your anatomy. As we saw with Meghan Markle, she sometimes will use really dark shadows for being on stage, but she places them along her lids or in areas that she shouldn't, wears a lot of heavy eyeliner, which closes her eyes in even more and makes them appear super duper small. The shark eye effect, as some people say on the internet. So you want to do it more the way Catherine Princess of Wales does, where she uses those darker shadows, but she puts them in the same place that she does when she's doing a daytime look. She just underblends and uses darker colors. And it can be difficult to strike a balance on an event that's like blended, where perhaps you're going to be giving a speech, but you're also hanging out with people in person. It can be very difficult to choose how to do your makeup in those instances. If possible, you would maybe bring a brush and blend things out after you've had your pictures or done your speech so that you don't look so harsh the rest of the day. Unlike the late Queen Elizabeth, who went for really bright lipsticks a lot of the times, Kate almost never does that. I think a huge part of that is that her lips are a little bit smaller, but also she tends to go for a more overall done up look that's very balanced, where she goes for slightly darker eye makeup than we were accustomed to seeing on Queen Elizabeth, for example, but then she doesn't do as much with her lips, which does exactly what we were talking about keeping the balance where you don't have too much going on your face all at once. It used to be somewhat scandalous at times. There were articles out that Catherine was contouring her cheeks and that it was like this big deal, when in reality it was a little bit of contour and a little bit of bronzer and a little bit of blush, just standard makeup that most of us wear most of the time when we're going to be doing a full face of makeup. And she always looks appropriate for the event and lovely, which is the most important thing. Here is an example of a little bit of an error when it comes to the eye makeup. Here she brought her eye makeup just a little bit too low on the outer corners. It just followed the line of her eyeball, of her actual eyelid, but it came down a little bit rather than getting that lifted effect. I talk about that in my video that I linked earlier. I'll link it in the description box as well, that you don't really want to be dragging out your eyelid color or your eyeliner in a downward motion at all. And she did that here, or the makeup artist did that here by accident, and it just kind of gave a slightly droopy look to her eyes, especially because she also had some bangs or fringe growing out at that time. It looks so much better with that lifted look, kind of cutting off where you're going to have your eye makeup along this area here from the corner of your eye to the end of your eyebrow. A lot of people on her wedding day were talking about her eye makeup and that they didn't really particularly like the lower lash line eyeliner. I think that it was essential for the day because she was going to be seen from carriage, from the balcony, from afar much of the day, and photographed from some distance much of the day. So she really needed that liner, but she could have tight lined instead of what she did here, which is when you bring it into your waterline a little bit, or only within the waterline to leave the rest of the area without any eyeliner. Would have been a little bit less heavy looking, but I definitely think she needed that eyeliner to keep her eyes popping from that great distance throughout the day. Here you can see is one of the few times that you can tell she has on false eyelashes. You can see just how long and fluttery they are, but she did a great job, or the makeup artist did a great job of selecting lashes that are still really wispy and light and fluffy. So although they're very long and they're excellently enhancing for her look, here she looks just stunning in this picture, they don't overwhelm her eye and block the visual to her actual lid. So you can still see that she has that light color on her lid. It's absolutely perfect. If they had done something more dense and darker or thicker for the eyelash, it would have been very overwhelming. So this was just perfectly beautiful. The coronation is an example of a moment where there was a couple of articles from makeup artists that I disagreed with, where they said that she underblended her contour here, and you can just see that line coming across here, but that is again necessary when you're going to be seen from afar, which she was all day long. She was being seen from a distance, and she needed both her eye makeup and a little bit of her face makeup to be underblended so that it stands out in those pictures. As you can see, sometimes when she gets a camera flash, her skin looks very even toned and very natural. She doesn't have those sorts of lines from her makeup showing through. So when you get a camera flash happening, but you don't want to look washed out, like on a really important day like this that's going down in the history books, you do underblend. Overall, I absolutely love the way that she does her makeup. Catherine looks beautiful all of the time, quite literally. She does a great job of editing her looks and letting her natural beauty shine, which I am a huge fan of and I think sets a great example. If you guys like this top that I am wearing, I was sent it in PR and I will link it in the description box. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much for being here with me. I will see you in the next one, and I hope that you have a happy day. Bye!